As Donald Trump gets more publicity for his failures than his successes, his so-called Muslim ban executive orders overruled by the courts, of course, his replacement for Obamacare bombed, key appointments proving disastrous, it's easy to forget that US immigration services have truly taken to one Trump campaign promise, removing illegal immigrants from the country. One of them is Roberto Beristain. He's a sadly routine case in a way. He came to the US illegally in 1998, has lived a successful and completely crime-free life since, has raised 3 children in America, but he's out. Deeply felt by his family, his removal would otherwise have escaped wider public notice were it not for the fact that his wife, Helen, voted for Donald Trump. She thought when Trump said bad hombres would be removed, he meant gangs, drug dealers, not her husband, a father of 3, who owns a restaurant, pays his taxes and is universally well regarded in his community. Now, Adam Ansari is a legal advocate for the Beristain family. I spoke to him earlier. Adam's in Chicago, but where now is Roberto?
So the last we heard was yesterday, and Roberto's wife, Helen, received a 30-second phone call from him. At that time, he was in New Mexico. He was at a processing center at that point in time.
When you say processing center, he's on the way out. He is actually being evicted from the United States.
Correct. Since being detained on February 6, 2017, he was moved to a small town called Brazil, Indiana. It's a very small town. After that jail had overcrowding, he was moved to Kenosha, Wisconsin, to a maximum security prison after being there for several weeks.
Sorry, Adam, to interrupt. A maximum security prison?
Yeah. And just yesterday we heard he's now in New Mexico. He's been moved countless times. And I will go far as to say the treatment is absolutely inhumane. He doesn't, what he originally did was coming into this country illegally, but how he's been treated since does not fit that crime.
So he has lived a blameless life. In fact, the local mayor describes him as a pillar of the establishment, a model citizen within their community. He's an employer, he runs a successful business, he's a father of American children. There is absolutely no compelling case whatsoever to throw him out other than he arrived illegally. Now, where this becomes viciously, bleakly ironic is that his wife, Helen, voted for Trump. And of course, the left are screaming at her, why the hell did you vote for Trump? But in a way, it speaks to the fact that people took Trump at his word, right? When he talked about evicting bad hombres, he meant criminals, not people like Roberto.
Yeah, I think in a lot of different ways, people were tricked by candidate Trump at that time. It's proven quite real that a lot of his promises that he was promising during his candidacy are not what he's doing currently. He did at various occasions say he was going to remove people with voluntary deportations order. He did previously say he was only going to remove bad people. He said a lot of different things during that, and I think the people that were constantly paying attention every single day to the news understood it. But the people that don't follow politics a lot, and sadly in America, a lot of people don't follow politics. They just hear the snippets here and there, and they're like, oh, that sounds good, that 1-minute snippet, and then don't pay attention to sort of the other words. So, Helen thinking that only the worst individuals were going to be removed, not thinking that her husband was going to fall into that category, did vote for Trump because in her mind, she didn't want gangs to be prominent in her area. She didn't want large inflows of drugs to be in her community and her kids to be around those. And so she took some of the lighter words that candidate Trump had said and voted that way. I mean, currently, does she regret voting this way? Yes. Every single day she's having remorse that she potentially helped put her family in this situation, and she's getting it from all ends. She's getting it from her children who say, how could you do this? She's getting it from calls to the restaurants saying you deserve what's happening to you and your family. But in reality, did her vote change the the outcome? No, her individual vote didn't change anything. But there's so many other people that were in the same boat that feel betrayed by what this candidate Trump really told them previously.
And I guess if we were going to be tough, and I don't want to be because I feel, you know, in a karmic sense, and I'm not a fan of karma anyway, but in a karmic sense, she is suffering whatever punishment even the most punitive person might argue she has coming to her. But if we were going to be tough, this is the lesson of empathy, isn't it? That in fact, we don't really understand the consequences of our actions until they impact directly on us. So here she is. She has lost her husband. And as you say, she finds herself in the middle of a kind of political storm where she is the embodiment of the Trump voter and the casualness with which they gave their vote to Trump without thinking of the impact it might have.
You know, and she's not. There's countless other people that are in very similar circumstances. A very good example of another issue is people in Pennsylvania, in Coal Town, that had black lung disease. Black lung disease is caused by coal plants. Black lung disease is also covered by Obamacare. So when all of these individuals voted for Trump because they're like, oh, they're going to bring coal back to the United States and we're going to begin mining again, they failed to realize that their health insurance would also go at the same time.
Adam Ansari, who is working with the family trying to get Roberto back into America, but he is on the way out. Quite an extraordinary story, that one.